Hey guys, how you doing? It's Jake with Joystick Gaming, and we're going to be talking about some pros and cons, because those are my best videos on my channel. So we're going to be talking about some pros and cons of the different ships in Sea of Thieves. So we have 3 different ships in Sea of Thieves: the sloop, the brig, and the galleon. And we're going to be just going through and telling you which ones are the best for certain scenarios and certain gameplays. So we're going to start with the smallest one, the sloop. Basically, the sloop is going to be the easiest and by far the only one you'll probably use in solo. It's just such a small ship. It doesn't require any teamwork to pilot or navigate it. And really, it's the ship to go if you're going to be soloing. Secondly, it's the most maneuverable, so you're the smallest ship, so that means you're going to be able to make corners tighter. You're going to be able to maneuver around rocks and islands and other ships faster and easier than, say, like a brig or a galleon. And you're not going to really have to worry about fitting in places. Whereas a galleon, you're going to have to park kind of far away from an island so that you don't hit the land. And we're going to end the sloop with some cons here. So we have that it sinks very quickly. Obviously, it is the smallest ship. It's only 2 levels. And with that, it is the easiest and the quickest to sink. So while you're soloing, it'll obviously be very bad if you run into a galleon or a brig or a ghost ship or a megalodon if you're not very skilled in PvP and can't manage your ship very easily and very efficiently. Secondly, it only has 1 cannon on each side, so this isn't the greatest for PvP matches. It basically sacrifices attack and defense for speed and soloness, basically. You're going to be able to be solo and play the game without anybody's help, but you're sacrificing your attack and defense for that. And then lastly, I actually got this from the Sea of Thieves website. The sloop actually has less cannonball storage than the other 2 ships. That is because the sloop only has 2 barrels for cannonball storage, whereas the brig and the galleon both have 3. So when you spawn on a sloop, you're going to have 20 cannonballs in each barrel, whereas for a brig or a galleon, you're going to have 15 in each. 15 times 3 is 45, and 20 times 2 is 40, so obviously you're going to even start off with more cannonballs in a galleon or a brig than you would a sloop. But again, you're sacrificing that lower attack and that lower defense for the maneuverability and for being the fastest ship against the wind and the fastest to pull the anchor up. So secondly, we're going to move on to the brig. The brig, I actually had 4 pros and only 2 cons because the brig probably is one of the better ships of the game, even though it does require at least probably 2 people to pilot efficiently. So our first pro here is it's the fastest ship in the game with crosswind. So the galleon is the fastest with the forewind, the sloop is the fastest with a headwind, and the brig is the fastest with crosswinds. It has medium maneuverability, so it's not as maneuverable as the sloop, but it definitely is more maneuverable than the galleon, and if you have ever piloted a galleon, or if you plan on piloting a galleon, you will definitely feel this. It's got less steering rotations than the galleon, but more steering rotations than the sloop. But again, with size comes more attack and more defense. So the brig has 2 cannons on each side, so you are going to have a total of 4 cannons having a little bit more attack than the sloop and a little bit less attack than the galleon. And the best thing I think with the brig is that it's going to have the same storage space as the galleon. So as we talked about with the sloop, it's going to have less cannonball space. The brig actually has the same cannonball space and really the same storage space all around as the galleon. So that's going to be the best to go with if you have a smaller crew and you really want those extra 5 cannonballs. And then some cons here. We only got 2 for the brig. It's slower than the sloop against the headwind and slower than the galleon with the wind. So again, you're having that medium kind of trade-off for speed. for attack and defense. And then again, you're going to have a slower anchor than the sloop, but also a faster anchor than the galleon. So there's that as well. And lastly, let's move on to the pros and cons of the galleon. The galleon is the fastest ship, hands down, with the wind. It has 3 full masts. You can go pretty fast with the galleon. You can have the max number of crew members with the galleon, so you can have 4 crew members on the ship, and that is pretty required actually, because the galleon takes a lot of teamwork. Somebody working the sails, somebody working the map, somebody steering, and somebody else making sure there's no holes or damage in the ship. Really, it requires a lot of teamwork to operate a galleon. And lastly, for our pros for the galleon, we have it can take the most damage and it has the most cannons. Effectively, it is the tank of the game. So you're going to be able to deal out the most damage, and you're also going to be able to take the most damage. Again, all of those come with some sacrifices. So moving on to our cons, we have it's the least maneuverable. It takes a long time for this thing to turn a corner. And you'll feel it whenever you get behind the wheel of a galleon. It will take a long time to maneuver around islands, and you really don't want to take it in tight spaces. It does have the slowest anchor. Again, having those 4 crewmates, you can have all 4 work in the anchor, and it would still take you a moderate amount of time. And the last one, again, kind of a pro and a con. It is the biggest. And that just meaning it's hard to hide from other people, and it's not as easy to park the ship against islands and whatnot. But it is the most standing out ship. You can see it from pretty far away. It's pretty iconic with its 3 masts. It's very easy to point out. And so really, if you're going to be playing on a galleon, you're not really the hiding type. You're really the aggressive type or defensive type. But you're not afraid to fight, rather. So those are the 3 ships and each of their pros and cons, and each kind of their gaming style, whether you want to play alone, whether you want to play with a lot of friends or some friends. So I hope you guys liked the video. Please like and subscribe for more. Follow me in my Twitch, because I am streaming Sea of Thieves a lot more recently. So my Twitch is joystickgaming97 at twitch.tv. So twitch.tv/joystickgaming97. Yeah, please like and subscribe for more. And let me know if you guys like this. Should I do more pros and cons videos in Sea of Thieves, or should I just move on? Thank you very much, guys, and goodbye.